Listen, what happened last Friday at Kuje Prison is the kind of story that sounds like a movie, but it's happening right here in Nigeria. Before I continue, if you are enjoying this gist, please hit that like button right now and subscribe to the channel. Trust me, you don't want to miss stories like this. So, let me take you back a few weeks. You remember Abubakar Malami, right? The man who was Nigeria's Attorney General, the big boss of justice in this country from 2015 to 2023. Well, in late December, the EFCC, that's the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, dragged him to court. But wait, he didn't go alone. His son, Abdulaziz, and his fourth wife were right there with him facing the music. Now, what were they charged with? Money laundering. And I'm not talking about small money here. We're talking about 8.7 billion naira. Yes, you heard that right, billion with a B. The EFCC is saying that while Malami was busy being the chief law officer of Nigeria, he allegedly used fake companies to move money around and buy expensive properties all over Abuja. Picture this: a house in Maitama worth 500 million naira, another property in Gaki for 700 million naira, and a place in Jabi for 850 million naira. These are not just houses, these are mansions in the most expensive areas of Abuja where only the super rich live. According to the charges, companies like Metropolitan Autotech Limited and Mithak Hotels Limited were allegedly used as cover to move all this money. All three of them, Malami, his son, and his wife, said they were not guilty. The court then sent them to Kuje Prison to wait for their trial. Now, if you've been following this channel, smash that subscribe button because this is where the story gets really interesting. Fast forward to last Wednesday. The judge, Justice Emeka Nwite, granted them bail. Each of them had to pay 500 million naira with two people standing as guarantors. That's a lot of money for bail, but considering the amount they are accused of taking, it makes sense. So technically, once they pay this money and fulfill all the conditions, they should be free to go home and wait for their trial from there, right? Well, that's where Friday's drama comes in. On Friday, January 17th, court officials called bailiffs showed up to Kuje Prison with all the correct paperwork to release Abdulaziz, Malami's son. Everything was properly signed, stamped, and approved. According to how the system works, once bail is granted and all documents are complete, the person should just walk out through the normal exit process, simple and straightforward. But here's where it gets spicy. And please, if you haven't liked this video yet, do it now because this next part is wild. Security sources are saying that Malami himself refused to let his son leave through the normal way. Instead, he allegedly wanted his son to be quietly removed from the prison without the usual formalities, like no noise, no cameras, no witnesses, just sneak him out low-key. Now, why would someone want to avoid the normal release process when everything is legal and above board? That's the million naira question everyone is asking. But what Malami didn't know was that the Department of State Services, the DSS, had been watching Kuje Prison like a hawk. Reports say that over 50 DSS operatives were deployed around that prison. 50! These weren't just regular security people standing around. They were actively monitoring every single vehicle that entered or left that prison. They were taking notes, checking faces, and basically making sure nothing suspicious happened. So when the bailiffs handed Abdulaziz over to the people who were supposed to take him away quietly, the DSS was already 10 steps ahead. As soon as the vehicle carrying the young man left the prison compound, DSS operatives swooped in and rearrested him right there on the spot. Just like that, from thinking you are going home to being back in custody within minutes. One security insider described it perfectly. They said the bailiffs came with valid documents, everything was legal, but Malami reportedly refused the normal process and wanted his son moved out quietly. The DSS had been watching, profiling every movement, and when they saw what was happening, they stepped in immediately. Now, before you think this is just about the money laundering case, let me tell you there's more to this story. And if you are getting value from this breakdown, Please share this video with your friends and family. They need to hear this too. Beyond the 8.7 billion naira money laundering charges, there are whispers, serious whispers, that security agencies are investigating Malami for something even bigger: terrorism financing. Now, let me be very clear. No terrorism charges have been filed yet. This is still under investigation. But according to a retired general, General Danjuma Ali Kefi, who led a special task force fighting terrorism, their investigations into money flows connected to terrorism allegedly uncovered links to several important people, including Malami. This explains everything. This is why DSS deployed over 50 operatives to Kuje Prison. This is why they were watching every movement like their lives depended on it. They wanted to make sure that even if Malami got bail for the money laundering case, he wouldn't just disappear. They needed to question him about these other serious allegations. And get this, Malami's lawyers knew about this. Earlier reports showed that Malami himself was actually slowing down his own bail process because he was afraid that the moment he stepped out of Kuje Prison, DSS operatives would be waiting at the gate to arrest him again for these terrorism-related questions. Can you imagine being afraid to leave prison even when you've been granted bail? That's the situation we are talking about here. There have been other interesting developments too. In late December, Abdulaziz fell sick and had to be rushed to the prison clinic. Nobody knows exactly what happened, but timing is everything in situations like this. Also, earlier this month, senior prison officers raided Malami's VIP cell at Kuje. Yes, you heard that right, VIP cell. Even in prison, some people get special treatment. But whatever they found or took during that raid, we don't know yet because officials are keeping quiet about it. Now, let's pause and think about this for a second. Make sure you've subscribed to this channel because we are going to keep following this story. Abubakar Malami was not just any government official. This man was the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice. That means he was the #1 law officer in Nigeria. His job was to make sure justice was served, to prosecute criminals, and to uphold the law. The irony here is almost too much. The man who was supposed to catch people breaking the law is now the one facing accusations of breaking the law in a massive way. We are talking about 8.7 billion naira allegedly moved through fake companies to buy luxurious properties in Abuja's most expensive neighborhoods. And now, possible connections to terrorism financing investigations. What happened on Friday raises serious questions about how our justice system works. When someone gets bail legally, why would there be attempts to avoid the normal process? Why all the secrecy? Security sources are saying there's growing worry within intelligence circles about what they are calling irregular efforts surrounding how Malami is handling his family's legal troubles. This case shows us how complicated fighting corruption in Nigeria can be. You have the EFCC handling the money laundering case in court. You have the DSS investigating separate terrorism-related allegations. You have the courts trying to make sure everyone gets fair treatment under the law. And you have security agencies trying to make sure that national security isn't compromised. All of this happening at the same time around one man and his family. For regular Nigerians like you and me watching this story unfold, it sends a powerful message. It doesn't matter how high you climbed, it doesn't matter what position you held, if there are serious accusations against you, the law must work. Whether you were Attorney General or you swept the streets, justice should be the same for everyone. The fact that this is happening to someone who was literally in charge of justice in Nigeria makes it even more significant. It tells us that maybe, just maybe, things are changing. Maybe the days when big people could do whatever they wanted and get away with it are slowly coming to an end. But we also have to be careful and watch how this plays out. Has bail been granted legally? Yes. Should someone who has been granted bail be allowed to leave prison? Absolutely. But should security agencies be allowed to ask questions about separate investigations? Also yes. Finding the balance between someone's rights and national security concerns is not easy, but it's necessary. As we speak, Abdulaziz is back in custody despite having bail approved for the money laundering case. His father is still at Kuje Prison, reportedly worried about what happens when he eventually gets released, and the DSS operatives are still watching, still monitoring, still waiting. So, what do you think about all of this? Should bail processes be handled differently when there are other security concerns involved? Do you think the DSS was right to rearrest Abdulaziz even though he had valid bail documents? Is it fair to keep investigating someone for other things while they are already facing charges for something else? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Let's have a real conversation about this. And please, be respectful in the comments. We can disagree without being disagreeable. If this breakdown helped you understand what's really happening with this Malami situation, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any updates on this story. Trust me, this story is far from over. There will be more developments and you want to be the first to know. Share this video with your friends on WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. Knowledge is power, and the more Nigerians understand what's happening in our country, the better we can hold our leaders accountable.